All right. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Definitely a definitely a long night for me. I took a nice run earlier, man, and I'm pretty whooped, but I'm very excited to be here.
We're tired too, dudes. It's all good.
Die,
Yeah.
I just got to die tired, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got it.
But hey, first off, how's everybody doing? I forgot to ask that. I'm sorry.
Good. We're doing really good. Thanks. So I'm Matt,
Matt,
guitar and vocals.
Brandon, drums.
I'm Jim. Play the bass.
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome, awesome. So, my first question I have for you guys tonight is when did Die Tired originate?
Yeah. So we've been kind of going playing music for a while. This current lineup of the band, I guess it's been a little over 2 years now.
Mhm.
Where we brought Brandon into the fold. Jim and I had been playing in different projects and things like that going on 8 years or so.
8 or 9, something like
8 or 9.
that.
We had been in a couple previous projects, a couple different genres and styles of bands with different people. Um, Long story short, those projects kind of went their separate ways to different things, but Jim and I always kept playing together. We're best friends and just love playing music together. So like we just kept jamming, and we started writing some of the early versions of what you hear on our Spotify, like songs like New Condition, What You Gonna Do, Play, um, just jamming. And we're like, we
Yeah.
need to get a drummer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We tried this like acoustic-y kind of thing for a little while, and it was fun. It was actually really refreshing as a way to write music. But in our bones, we're like, we need a drummer behind all this. We need to play a rock version of all these songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were fortunate enough to make a connection with Brandon. He came down first jam. We wrote a bunch of songs. It was a good vibe, and that's all she wrote. So now it's a little 2 years.
Awesome. So, the big thing I've wondered this is what genre would you say Die Tired is underneath?
Whatever you want it to be, baby.
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
I don't know. Sometimes we kick around grunge. Sometimes we kick around modern rock. Sometimes we kick around like alt rock, alternative rock, or pop
Yeah.
punk. Um, but I guess in that old genre of rock and roll, to be
Yeah,
honest
we
with
just
you.
kind of introduce ourselves as a rock band. Kind of like, people say, what do you guys sound like? I'll say, anywhere between Pearl Jam, Jimmy Eat World, guys that have like an album will have anything from a heavy, drop D distorted rock tune to an acoustic ballad. We go back and forth between all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So we're not, I don't know. I mean, I guess recently we've had Open Hearts is a pretty pop punky,
Yeah.
really, I don't know. So we just say rock band, but it covers a handful of genres, and we kind of pride ourselves on that fact.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother earlier because he wants to watch a movie like after I'm done with the interview, and he was asking what type of band am I interviewing. I'm like, I just went with punk rock.
Yeah.
I'm basing it off of the recent release, Open Hearts Club, which gotta
Yeah,
say, man, that's been playing every single time I take a run, every single time I'm just listening to music. I make sure to always play that song
nice.
because,
Awesome. Thank you
because
so much.
chorus. I mean, it has some sort of like I don't know. I like that rhythm, you know. I like the sound of it. It kind of brings me back to like the 2000s like indie
Yeah.
rock, the I can't think of the big surge, I guess, of that type of music.
Yeah. And I mean, I could definitely say, I mean, I think we all could say it, but for me, absolutely, like I was totally influenced by all that stuff. Kind of like mid to late 90s grunge and rock, and then into that 2000s era, like pop punk and alternative rock that was out there, was definitely always what I listened to in my brain. And then couple that with like, I do have some influences in some metal music and stuff like that too. So you kind of have this underlying layer of like big riffs and big drums and breakdowns and stuff like that. But I think you're spot on with that. And that one in particular, one thing that's kind of cool the way we've been releasing music recently is with the singles, is you can kind of reinvent yourself with each song, kind
Yeah.
of keep a die tired theme, but each one we can have like take a little bit more like slow down to one song takes a little bit more elements from metal. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Then there's an acoustic song, and Need to Feed's kind of like this ballad, like alt rock ballad. So that's fun to write music that way. It's fun to challenge yourself creatively. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that early 2000s for Open Hearts Club. I think that's kind of when we
Yeah.
were writing it is what our goal was to try
Yeah.
to get some of that feel, but make our own kind of modern and die tired kind of take on it.
Yeah. And the thing is what I'm noticing, you guys say that you like to diversify like the genre of music, like song by song. And I like that a lot because that's like kind of how I operate my radio shows. I think it was Brandon who was listening to my show a few weeks ago. You
Yeah.
went from hearing like death metal and then to just like classic rock and then to just like some industrial metal. Like that's the type of stuff I like. And I
Yeah.
like that when bands incorporate that. I was talking to a band a few months back and I told him like, "Yo, you guys sound thrash metal." It's like, "Oh, we're not just thrash metal. We're this, that." And I'm like, "Okay, I like that." So
Yeah.
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah, that was a great. You have a great program, great show, by the way. I mean, it engages a wide variety of fans and listeners. And I had a fun time jumping into the chat room and talking to everybody. I have to make it a point to do that more often with you.
Awesome. I appreciate that. We've grown a lot, Vibe Tunes. I think I've known of Die Tired when I was on another radio station before I created Vibe Tunes. I think are you familiar with Castle Black Radio at all?
Yeah, I know we've been on there. Yeah, we've had some runs on there. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I used to go by DJ Zave. I don't know if that sounds familiar,
yeah.
but
He was spinning our track "Slow Down" for quite a while. Yeah.
Was that
yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what you're
awesome.
saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome, man. Oh, great.
Yeah, man. So I went from there and then things just didn't work out and then I went over to Vibe Tunes. I created shop there and I was nervous because I'm like, okay, this can either be good or bad, like really bad. And it took off like right off the jump. And my biggest thing is like when I do my shows particularly, I want to get like all of the unheard or independent artists just listen to more. I've just been pushing and pushing and pushing people. You guys are definitely up there with probably one of the bands I would say I pushed the most on my show.
Sweet, man. Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Of course. So the next question I have for you is, do you have any new music releases coming up?
Yeah, actually, that's one thing that we're super stoked about. So Open Hearts came out. We played a couple shows to support it. And now we're kind of going into this phase of we've got one thing we've been really fortunate with, and one thing I think that just like really keeps the band fun and fresh is we've been lucky to not quite hit a knock on wood any writer's block yet. Like we've got tons of songs in the hole, so to speak. We made some upgrades to our studio. So now that Open Hearts was out, we played a couple shows to support it. We're going into full like recording mode.
Hmm.
And with that's going to come some really exciting options for us. Like I mentioned, we've been doing singles. Are we going to keep doing the single route? We've been kicking the idea of doing either an EP or even an LP, depending on how things go, and kind of some discussions with like our team and at our label, like what would be the best release. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff we're working on. It's got that classic Die Tired feel, but with like obviously a little more spin on, just another take on it, another spin on it. So I don't know, maybe through the winter here, we're going to record that and take that out. And then in the spring into the summer, we'll go on a full on, mini tour or whatever we end up coming with to support that.
Yeah. Thing is, with your newest release, there was no way I could not miss that. I had your record label sending me it. You guys sent me it, and then there was I forgot. It was something with I think Hell Sing Records or some promotion company also sent me it. I was like, oh shit. I went to my email and just saw three straight Die Tired songs,
There
and
you go.
Nice.
I was just getting ready to get on air, so I was like, okay. And I had you guys queued. I think I had like Slow Down or Better Off Alive queued. I was like, no, we're changing this one out now. Like, I
Yeah.
gotta hear it. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
def I'm definitely pumped for new releases. I always ask bands that, and I asked them for the specific reason of like I just want more music to listen to
Yeah.
now. I think it's
I'm going to
just,
throw a question your way if that's cool.
of course, yeah.
If there was going to be a style of another Die Tired song, what would you want to hear?
I like
Heavier, ballad, pop punk, acoustic, what do you think after kind of listening to our music, what would you like to hear? We're kind of curious.
so I think pop punk is probably like my favorite
Okay.
style of yours so far. Open
Yeah.
Hearts Club is if it comes into messaging, Better Off Alive obviously has the better
Yeah.
message, but Open Hearts Club has the better sound to me. Now I feel
Yeah.
it has so much replay value to the point where I could play it 4 times over and then play it for the fifth without a
Yeah.
problem. So
Nice.
definitely,
Yeah, I think we
definitely the
kind of
pop
did
punk.
start to strike a little something. We found a little, like,
Yeah.
carved our own little
It's funny
niche in
because
there.
it sort of comes back to Play was Play was like the first song we put out with the record label, I think.
Yeah.
And Play is definitely pop punk too. And that was the song that sort of got us, some notoriety and some validation. And then we kind of dabbled in some other things and then came back to Open Hearts. And both of those songs like immediately took off. So maybe we stick a little bit more in that realm. I don't know. We'll see.
I just really like the pop punk. I like that era of rock music, right? And I feel like it's there. I just don't feel like a lot of people go for it anymore, you know? So definitely hearing that sound more often is something that I'm a big fan of from any band, definitely particularly you guys as well.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know if we sent our track Play to you. I'll have to send that over to you, see what you think, if it's a fit for your show. But that was the first release that we had, I think, what, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2.5 years
It was
ago?
like right when we first got together.
Yeah, that was kind of the song that we give a lot of credit to for kind of taking us to that next tier. So,
Actually, I think we released that before we signed. That was the song that got us the attention by the record label.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I
I
have
was
the
mistaken.
acoustic version of it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a full-on rock version of that one.
Yeah, I only have the acoustic. I think I played that one once or twice in the past. I believe so. I always try to aim on Better Off Alive, of course, now Open Hearts Club, and then I think you guys have a song Need to Feed, right?
Yeah.
That song definitely I play a lot of. Um, acoustic is kind of like a hit and miss for me. Sometimes I got to be like in a mood for it. So
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And that's just kind of what was fun with that song was like, I love listening to, and I like consumed all those like MTV Unplugged. So like you think about Alice in Chains Unplugged, or Stone Temple Pilots, or Pearl Jam, or Nirvana. So like they have their loud, distorted guitar versions, big drums. And it's just kind of fun creatively to revisit that song. Like we Play Acoustic out almost a year and a half after it. After we kind of played it a lot and sat with it, it was just kind of fun to revisit that song, kind of just put a different spin and give our fans just like a different dimension on it. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
give something for people that maybe they do like the acoustic stuff a little bit more, and just kind of give another color of the song out there. So
Yeah.
I could see us doing that in the future down the road, maybe putting another acoustic version of the song just to try it out.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I like acoustic music for sure. It's just once in a while, man. Sometimes I'm in the mood to hear a little bit like heavier, some banging drums, stuff like that. So, but when I'm in the mood, I will 100% play that for sure. What do I got here? So the next question I have for you guys is, do you have any concerts coming up with Die Tired?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
We just played a festival in Nebraska that was an absolute blast, and we're thinking that might be kind of like our culminating event of 2024, and spend the rest of the year recording. But we have some things in the works that we might explore. We just haven't quite pulled the trigger on them yet. But as of now, nothing's booked.
Yeah. So that's kind of like Jim said, like we went out to Nebraska. That was kind of like our first big trek. When we had played regionally, we're from Reading, which is in between like Philly and New York on the East Coast.
Close to me.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So we played regionally in that area, like Delaware, in PA and stuff like that. Philly. But then we got the opportunity to go out and got our first kind of test run of kind of taking our band to a new market. I mean, we were in the middle of the country, you know what I mean? And it was awesome. It went really well. We learned a lot. We kind of learned a lot as musicians and what it would take to be on the road and playing. Met a lot of cool people out there, made some connections. So, even if it's not in the immediate future, definitely, like I said, after we get done recording this next batch of songs, we'll definitely be hitting it hard with regional and hopefully out of the region shows as well.
Yeah. If you guys are ever up in Jersey, that's where I'm at. Let me know.
Nice.
Yeah.
What part of Jersey?
I'm in northern Jersey towards like by Morris County.
Okay.
How is that near Asbury Park?
Asbury Park's about, I would say, about 45 minutes to an hour away.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
But yeah, also this kind of like just a random question. So you're from PA. I'm assuming you guys are, if you like football, you're Eagles fans, right? Anybody?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, man. I grew up 20 minutes from the stadium, so it's in my blood.
These two are diehard. I really only watch college football, but these two, yeah, go Birds.
well,
Go Birds.
I don't feel like dropping my backdrop, but I got a big Steelers flag back there. So definitely a little bit of the PA rivalry. That's what I want. That's what I want as a Super Bowl. Steelers,
Yeah.
Eagles. It would
That
make
would be
sense.
that would be amazing. If
Honestly,
you had to like another team, I'm okay if you like the Steelers, so that's all right. I if I'm rooting for somebody else, they're usually one of the teams that I'll go for.
Do you guys know that at one point the Steelers and Eagles became one team?
Yeah,
yeah.
1940s.
Yes,
Steagles.
Steagles.
Yeah.
When I'm not a DJ, I'm a wannabe sports analysis. So
I thought I was gonna get a nice little trivia that nobody heard before.
Nah, yeah, I definitely know that one. But hey, we do share one thing in common though. We both hate the Giants, I would assume.
Yeah.
I despise that franchise with a burning passion. So I live next to the fans. I think that's why
Yeah.
the fans are not fun to deal with.
So far, we've got a pretty good one up on them in the past couple of years, so
Yeah.
hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah. Anyhow, so the next question I have here for you guys is talk about a tough time during your band and how you guys overcame it.
Great question.
What do you think? I mean, we had a fourth member at one point, or like earlier on, who decided to kind of go work with another project, which all left on, no hard feelings or anything like that. But like, he was one of our good friends, and just that was kind of tough because we were kind of climbing and thought like, oh, we could take this group wherever. So just kind of adjusting from going from a 4-piece to a 3-piece was something that was a little bit of a challenge. We had to kind of not really reinvent our sound, but he as a rhythm guitar player filled like a stage volume and like filled in a lot of the gaps on stage and held some parts down. So kind of making sure the three of us could still be dynamic and do that. So that was something that was a little bit of a challenge musically, because you had to go from like, hey, you're in this 4-piece and the other guy's filling in these spots and I'm playing the guitar here. And just kind of then taking some time as a band to kind of rethink how we play some things live. It was a bit of a challenge. It's been fun. It definitely pushes us to be better musicians on stage and have to make this as a trio. It's been really fun to make sure like, hey, you got to fill that stage out with just these 3 guys up here. That would probably be one thing. I don't know if you guys have any other.
Nothing specific comes to mind now. We're pretty fortunate that, like, generally speaking, we all just get along really well, where we have like a really smooth democracy between the 3 of us, where everybody kind of has like slightly different responsibilities and different things that they just naturally are good at to handle and take care of, and we all just kind of work together. So like personally as a band, we don't tend to run into a lot of issues. I don't really think we have, I don't know, altercations ever really.
Yeah. No, it's all been pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. That's actually the first time I've ever asked a band that question. That came to my mind like the last second when I wrote it down. But I want to try to like not like sound like a robot when I ask the same band or bands the same questions. So that was definitely something
that's good. You're pushing yourself too to be a better interviewer. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys were my first interview, man, I would be sorry, because the first time I interviewed, I wouldn't say I did bad, but I was hanging back a lot more, I would say, and I was just letting the band talk,
Yeah.
and just kind of like shyly asking questions. It definitely I've gotten better, but still can be hard sometimes depending on the mood I wake up in or stuff like that.
I mean, we have that experience when we're playing shows. I mean, sometimes everything is just firing all cylinders and everybody's ready to rock and roll, and other times, one guy's tired, or Matt, show that we played, it was 6 degrees outside and it was an outdoor show in a tent. And the whole night before, he was throwing up and was
Yeah.
miserable. And we get it. That sometimes everything doesn't just line up and it's super easy. Sometimes you got to push through it and be a professional.
Yeah. So, next question I have here is, do you have any advice for any upcoming artists or bands in this space?
Great question. I would say a lot of different little things. I mean, the little, if you're doing if you're doing a maximum number of the little things, it culminates into something big. I mean, everything from, daily engagement with fans, commenting, replying on social media, sharing, supporting radio stations. We really try, any radio that will spin us. We always like, share, comment, support, promote, you know what I mean? Because everybody has success that way. So it's a lot of the little things that I think add up to something big. I mean, I think we've been this lineup of Die Tired has been together for 2.5 years. And we've steadily grown in followers and fans to the point now where we have pockets of fans in, different parts of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty cool thing when a merch order comes in from a part of the country you didn't know that your music had reached to. It's kind of a surreal feeling. I don't know, anything you would add to that, guys?
Yeah, I think that's definitely from like the promotion end. And I always just kind of, when I think about like a question like this, is as a musician, just keep working on your craft. You got to practice. You know what I mean? Like, spend some time practicing, take care of your instruments, check on your gear, keep writing songs, share ideas. Be consistent. We're fortunate enough that we're in a pretty steady rotation of when we can practice. So we're pretty frequent with how often we practice. And just over time, like, you're just going to get better, because just like anything, like the amount of time you put in something, you're going to eventually should theoretically just naturally get better at it. You know what I mean? So if you keep practicing and work on your stuff, I think that's really important. And just with that, like, when we do have shows coming up, we make sure we schedule 2 to 3 practices before the show, where all we do is work on how we are going to perform at the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make our set list and we'll practice that set list and make tweaks as needed. Sometimes the day of, we might make a tweak or two based on feel, but we really try to get our set list down and we will practice that. So when it comes on stage, we don't have to really think as much about the performance, like the technical playing, and we can just go and actually then to perform and engage with the crowd and have a good visual like show experience for the fans too.
Yeah. I definitely think you guys said promotion, and I feel like it sounds self-explanatory for a lot of bands to just go through, promote whatever way they do, but I've seen a lot of bands in the space that just don't promote and then get mad that they're getting nothing back in return. And I've been, besides DJing, I did Twitch streaming, stuff like that. And all the ways I've grown anything I've done online was just from making interactions with people and then just becoming friends with them and trying to bring more people in to whatever community I'm trying to raise. And I think you guys do a very good job at doing that. I mean, you found me. You guys have always been very good to me and my station. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. Likewise, man.
Of course. And I think that's just definitely a big thing for sure. Promotion, because with the lack of promotion, you don't get much out of it, like a much listener.
Got to give Brandon a shout out.
Yeah. Brandon's awesome at it.
He's hitting the keyboard day in, day out.
He's our guru. Jim and I kind of follow up and support him, but we always make sure we give him the props that
you got to hire a manager so
he
can take a break from it. But he's
reach out to us or Brandon. He's got tips, so you could hire him, man. He's a natural at it.
Thanks.
He missed his calling as a marketing agent.
No, I should have went into a different industry for my day job.
Yeah. He got to me pretty quick. I asked for a radio ID, just like a little shout out, and I sent him what I had to say, and I swear 2 days later, it was just boom right there. I'm like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
It's I get a lot of bands that agree to do it and then they don't do it, and then I got a lot of bands that just tell me no or just look at it and just go, I don't know who this is, and just tosses their phone. But
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to be professional in all aspects. Showing up to sound checks early, not even on time, being early, being prepared, communicating with the staff at the venue. Like just everything that we do, communicating through email. We try to be. I want to equate it to like the phrase that you dress for the job you want. We are acting as if a band that is a full-time nationally touring band. That's how we interact with people. And I think we all do a pretty good job of like keeping in good communication with the people that we create our network with.
Yeah, I would definitely say for sure. You guys have been easy to get with on for interviewing and everything. So, and that's also a good mindset to have. Think that you're like up there, like touring big time, doing all this, and then I'm trying to like think about it. Like I don't know, I kind of like lost my train of thought. Hey, 3 miles of running will do that too. All right.
Yeah, man.
It's all right.
I had a personal best run today, so
Nice. There you go.
Hit that PR, man.
I'm getting there for sure. I got to get back into the gym at some point too, because I'm losing my size. I was definitely out there, but now I'm just like getting skinnier and skinnier. So
Good for you. Keep it up.
thank you. So I have two more questions for you guys, and the next question is, what is your honest thoughts on Vibe Tunes Radio?
Oh, absolutely. Great station. I mean, every program, every show that I've tuned into, I mean, like I said earlier in the interview, great variety. I mean, I think Vibe Tunes stands out from some of the other stations because of your ability to create a playlist that engages like a variety of different fans and listeners. So it allows you to pull more people of more different interests of genres into the show. And I really, really like the chat room feature that you have. It's a platform for folks to talk, network, get to know each other. And as you pointed out, you can make friends in that chat room and you can, you know what I mean? You can link up every time a show is scheduled or a show is running and it becomes a part of your daily or weekly, routine. So I really like what you're doing, there at the station. I'm sure the other guys echo that sentiment.
Is the chat room thing a takeoff of Twitch? Isn't that what Twitch is? You can chat with people while you're watching them do stuff. Isn't that the whole point?
Yeah, I mean it's basically the same thing. It's not the Twitch chat box though. It's like I pay for the chat box, and it's like a little thing. I think it's like that big, literally the chat. So maybe you might need to use the Zoom feature sometimes. I definitely do, but I anybody can just come in there. They could put in a name, type in for free. Sometimes I have people who the chat box gives attitude to.
Oh
And
yeah, I'm sure
they're
with anything.
they're sitting there messaging me like I can't get in. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't to refresh the page, man.
Yeah.
I I've had that before. I had a band that came into one of my shows. I think it was like 2, 3 months ago. I was interviewing a band, and they came into my chat room, and they're like, "Oh, I can't get the chat box to work." I'm like, "You're typing in the chat." Like, what do you mean you can't get it to work?
It's working.
It's like you're looking for your glasses, but they're on your face.
The phone, you're looking for your phone, it's in your hand, not in your
Yeah.
pocket. One of those things.
Typing into Google, where is my phone?
I mean, we all have moments like that, but I was
Yeah.
just like, what? But no, yeah, I appreciate the words, Brandon. Thank you very much. And also, Brandon, I think you're the best member. We share the same name, so
Oh, there you go.
Absolutely.
So-
Yeah. Don't often meet other Brandons, so it's a pleasure.
dude, they're a dime a dozen up here, but I'm the best one out of all of them in Jersey, so I'll say that.
I'll hold down my region over here.
Awesome. As long as we just like one by one, state by state, there's just a best
That's
Brandon.
the real
we're
mission.
good.
They're just spreading the word
Yeah.
of Brando.
You guys are gonna start a Brandon club.
So the question is, though, Brandon, do you get called Brandon, or does anybody call you Bran or Brand? What do you usually get?
We call him Brando all the
Yeah.
time.
Brando.
I don't know if anybody else calls him Brando. We do.
No, Brando is specifically just Die Tired. So that's the Die Tired
Version.
version is Brando.
His wife calls him B though.
B, I've gotten B. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that a few
Yeah.
times. I usually get a Bran or Brand. That's usually like what I mostly get. I've had
That's
I've
so
had
lazy.
I've had people say Brendan before, and I'm like, that's not my name. But
I knew a kid in high school. His name was Brennan, so Brendan without the D, and he got Brennan, Brendan, Brandon, every version of it. Because Brennan is a little bit. I guess the dude from Step Brothers was named Brennan, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That was years later though.
yeah. So I have one more question. I think Zoom's trying to kick me off as well, which that's not nice from Zoom. But the last question I have for you guys here tonight is, was there any particular bands that inspired Die Tired?
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah. So I'll start. I always go to one of my personal guitar heroes is Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains.
Mhm.
I just love his riffs, the way he writes songs, the melodies what between him and Lane Staley. That was a big influence. I love playing those songs on guitar, and I learned a lot from how he played. I was also early on inspired by some bands like Pantera and Metallica and Megadeth. Rust in Peace. I love that album. That's one of my top thrash metal albums. And like Dave Mustaine and Marty Freeman are just absolutely crushing it on guitar on that album. So those are usually kind of my go-to 3 or 4 off the top. I mean, there's so many others. I find the older I get, like more recently, to be honest with you, it kind of goes who's influencing me, like kind of based on how I feel or the months or the seasons or something. I've noticed my styles have kind of broadened out a little bit. But when it comes to my core and me learning to play guitar and listening to music, I would say those few acts in particular were very influential on me.
Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to lots of classic rock, riding around the truck with my dad. So Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, CCR, all that kind of stuff where the bass players were playing a lot of like bluesy, melodic bass lines. And then I later got into punk rock and metal, and, Ginger, August Burns Red, that kind of, metalcore, I guess they call it. So like I kind of bring like a little bit more of a jammy aspect. If you listen to like Slow Down or something, there's a lot of like melodic bass lines going on in there that you might not really hear on a lot of like heavier guitar riff stuff. So I mean, as far as like actually being influenced, I guess that's where a lot of my influence as a bass player comes from, is like 70s classic rock.
I was hugely influenced by mid 90s alternative rock and grunge, and I lived at the Camden, New Jersey Warped Tour in the early 2000s. I mean, I just lived there. So
just slamming
yeah,
Mountain Dew,
yeah. I mean, laying on the pavement, you know what I mean? Dehydrated, you know what I mean? $25 bottle of water. But like, I have bands like Hidden in Plain View queued up in my car. The Ataris.
Brandon got me into Pierce the Veil. I love them.
Pierce the Veil. Yeah. I mean, Silverchair was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Always had Silverchair cranked on my way to school. But yeah, I mean, I think we all have complementary interests and backgrounds. And I mean, it comes together and you see the type of music, you know what I mean, that we put out, and it all just overlaps and, very nicely.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. Definitely. Metallica's my favorite band, so I think I forgot. I'm bad with names. I just know the middle name because it's Brandon. But, Matt. Okay. But you said Metallica, Megadeth. I've been seeing a lot of Rust in Peace all over my Facebook timeline recently. Yeah. It's just been popping up everywhere within the past 2 weeks. So yeah, definitely, man.
You gotta check their show out. Metallica's coming around.
Yeah, I saw that. I forgot who they were touring with. Wasn't it like Limp Bizkit and somebody else?
One night was Limp Bizkit and one night's Pantera. So I think it depends on what date they are in what area.
Yeah,
I didn't know Limp Bizkit was still a thing.
Yeah, they had like a huge resurgence, man. They're like
back.
So did Creed. Creed is huge all of a sudden again.
Yeah. But I just saw that a couple of days ago, Metallica announcing that They're coming out this way to our area, so
Yeah,
just kicking around, maybe seeing them. I saw them a couple times back in the day. They're
definitely
still
want.
ripping. They're still ripping, man. They're still great.
I definitely do want to go see them. There's also a Trivium concert coming around next year as well that
Nice.
everybody
Oh,
wants me to go
nice.
to. So I might go to that as well. Definitely depends on finances for sure because those
Yeah.
concert tickets
No, I
could.
know. That's why I said I would like to try. We'll wait and see on Friday how much they're going to go for.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably a lot.
So the last thing I can say is first off, thank you guys for joining me here today. I really do appreciate it. And
Thanks for having us.
of course, and if there's anything you would like to say, I mean, I'm on a timer because of Zoom, but the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Just we appreciate you spreading our music to your community, and it was really good chatting with you today, and we'll keep in touch.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks so much for all the support. We'll continue to pump the station
Yeah.
and push your shows to our fans, and our fans will be your fans, and your fans will be ours.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I'll just say thank you too. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your support and all the kind words. You said you've been playing our music. That's why we love doing what we're doing, is to hear anybody. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, or 10,000 people listening to it. It as an artist, it's great to hear people receive your work. So thanks so much. Keep doing what you're doing. And thanks, man. I don't know, really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate it again. And we'll keep in touch for sure.